Yo, what's going on? This is Kurt and I'm back for another video. Today, the topic of my video is Satanism is a blood sport. Goodbye, Baphomet. So, the title of my video is Satanism is a blood sport. Goodbye, Baphomet. First of all, what's going on? It's been a minute. Today, I want to make this video. I'm sharing this information and this content for the pure souls. For the pure souls that are either beginning this journey or that are looking to get to the next level. And what I want to tell you is that there's a trick going on. It's called secret orders, initiation, but also chaos magic. And I want to tell you something. There is no secret society. There is no demon that can do anything for you, that can make you rich, that can give you powers, unless it is funneled and comes through your bloodline. That's why the title is Satanism is a blood sport. Goodbye, Baphomet. I think it was a month ago or a few months ago, I made a video called, what was it called? It was a video based on the workshop that I was going to do. And I told you guys in the video, most people don't even know what's going on when it comes to the eclipse. The eclipse was the end of Baphomet. Baphomet, you have to understand something. Baphomet was the form that was used to funnel in a specific type of energy. Baphomet is present in every single culture, or rather this energetic signature. But the main way to channel this energy was done through this egregore called Baphomet. But now Baphomet is gone. As you guys know, if you've been following hip hop, there is a high-powered CEO that was caught on tape in a hotel lobby beating up someone. Go and look and check their logo. Go check his logo and see what you will find. Speaking to the pure ones, and I'm not saying that in the sense of the pure ones, the chosen ones, and all that stupid dumbass bullshit. I'm saying no. If you wanna get further, if you wanna gain more power, if you're stuck on your journey, if your curiosity knows no bounds, and you can't wait to see dragons, you can't wait to communicate with. Take your time, because every single door is opened through your blood. Let me show it to you. In the middle, this is your astrological birth chart. This is close to the sun. That means that all the impulses here are made to follow certain rules, certain principles, and certain morals. This is your blood. So like I said, your true ancestors might be a handful of ancestors. The further you go from the sun or your astrological birth chart, the further you go, the more those are connected to your bloodline, but they are not your ancestors. And eventually you get to Saturn. Saturn has a particular role because Saturn is the middle point between Sun awareness and Plutonian awareness. Pluto is the furthest from the sun. So therefore, most satanic practices want you to open your astrological birth charts to entities, forces in your bloodline, through your bloodline, that will come through Saturn and eventually possess you. Possess you and make you do things that are contrary to lucidity, contrary to your form, contrary to the specific instructions that your own soul has left in this thing, which is your blood or your astrological birth chart. So the further you go away from the sun, the more you're connected to entities, to ancestral forces that are not in tune with your astrological birth chart or your three-dimensional breath awareness. Okay? Therefore, Satanism is a blood sport. What does that mean? It means that they'll say, oh, do this chaos magic and this ritual will work. What you don't understand is when you're doing those rituals, you're simply really opening up you're really opening yourself up for a possession, and slowly but surely everything you want, sure, you will have it, but what you will lose is you will lose your integrity. You will lose your soul power. You will lose your sovereignty. You will lose your ability to be pure and to stay pure because you were impatient for experiences that don't mean shit. So now, what is Baphomet? What is Baphomet? I've had this information for months. I had to make sure that I could verify, that I could check the information, and this is what I want to tell you about Baphomet. So Baphomet is gone. There's no more Baphomet. Or Baphomet is no longer the form that will be used to bring in this energy. Number one, Baphomet is not androgynous. Baphomet is not a finished product. In fact, this symbol represents the beginning stages of a perilous and arduous journey. This journey is not one everyone should take, nor is everyone built to take the journey of Baphomet. In short, internally activating the realm of Baphomet means unleashing all of the rogue, dehumanized, and entropic ancestral forces against yourself and finding a way to make it out. In essence, Baphomet, or the path of this entity or this energy we call Baphomet, is an initiation in the dark fire or the dark flame of death. Various energetic sources are represented through different symbols according to the culture that they are in. In the case of Baphomet, this energetic aggregate is the result of the combination of two primary streams. But understand this energetic possibility or realm exists in all cultures and in every pantheon. Only the name and the appearance of this effigy differs, but the provenance of the energy is the same. Now, where does this energy come from? Well, as a child, while you get acclimated to maneuvering a physical body, most of your impulses are unconscious. As you deal with body, form, limitation, and the traumas incurred, your mind begins to travel. It travels because it needs to escape. It needs to escape because it seeks safety. Astrologically, this travel is done mainly through two planetary currents, that of Mercury, the planet traveling the sun the fastest, and Pluto, the slowest planet in the solar system. Keep this duality in mind. This represents the child and the old man, the gateway of passage allowing both of these energies to connect is Saturn. That's why Baphomet, the main frame of Baphomet, is a goat representing Saturn. Saturn is removed from the sun enough so as to represent death, but not as far as Pluto, so it still maintains an understanding about the demands of the world of the living. Pluto is the death of death. Pluto is the death of even death, so to speak. A perfect example of the energy or the embodiment of the energy of Pluto and Mercury is Jiddu Krishnamurti. Total death is what is called non-duality, and I'll get back to non-duality later. Mercury is your innocence, your purity, your newness. Pluto represents all that you've inherited and all that is stored in the darkness within the darkness. Now, very naturally, this innocence seeking to shelter itself and to cloak itself against pain, shame, confusion, rejection, and lack will begin to dwell in fantasies. And the materials provided to furnish said fantasies come from Pluto. Mercury needs Pluto for building substances, and Pluto benefits from Mercury because of its proximity to the sun. So Baphomet is an entire astrological symbol. This is where this combination births a self-enclosed entity, a creator, the consciousness behind everything within its own isolated play. That is the mythology of the demiurge. Now, why would someone want to work with that energy or entity? I'll use the words of Jiddu Krishnamurti to explain it. To find out actually what takes place when you die, you must die. This isn't a joke. You must die, not physically, but psychologically, inwardly. Die to things you have cherished and to the things you are bitter about. If you have died to one of your pleasures, to the smallest or the greatest, naturally, without any enforcement or argument, then you will know what it means to die. To die is to have a mind that is completely empty of itself, empty of its daily longing, pleasure, and agonies. Death is renewal, a mutation in which thought does not function at all because thought is of the old. When there is death, there is something totally new. Freedom from the known in death is death, and then you are living. So, someone who wants to die psychologically, to die before they die, at all levels, profoundly, thoroughly, will work with this energetic current, which is the Baphomet. But make no mistake about the symbol of the Baphomet. He represents everything that is wrong and that could go wrong symbolically. He represents the ultimate wrongness, so to speak, in picture form, having isolated the wrong usage of thought, the wrong usage of imagination, the wrong usage of libido, and the wrong usage of emotion, all in one symbol that embodies the ultimate enemy you should not destroy, but disintegrate to self-realization. But it is not for everyone. So, why is there so much caution surrounding Baphomet? Because in actuality, those who trigger this energetic current through the various names in their respective cultures are borrowing ancestral karma. Let me repeat. Those who trigger this energetic current through the various names in the respective cultures are borrowing ancestral karma. That's right. You are borrowing enough karma to A, create enough heaviness to anchor yourself to humanity, and B, to help create an enemy powerful enough to combat you. That is the path of Baphomet. This path helps you reach your own goal of eternal death and complete mastery. Second, you cleanse the bloodline once and for all the filth, aggregates, and so-called curses it contains. So the path of Baphomet is a serious responsibility, and it is not to be triggered, not to be played with or by anyone. But the problem is that it is such a path and it is so hazardous that many people who've attempted to go there have been lost. That is why parents throughout all cultures have certain types of rituals for their children so that the child's imagination remains accompanied by certain forces during the period of 1 to 7 years of unconsciousness that we all go through. The child's mind must be accompanied by protectors, and if and when certain aspects of his or her imagination consciousness got lost, a special ritual using a beam of light is used to undo all the illusions and disillusions that the child created through trauma. It is like projecting a blast of light in a cave until everything that was entangled in continual dualistic battle of strife finally gets undone through the light. That light, or the path of light, is for those who weren't meant for the Baphometic path. So in essence, the child from 0 to 7, 7 to 14 is in a bunch of imagination, creates realms of fantasies. He's the man. He's creating a demiurge realm. There are certain rituals that are used to project a beam of light, and this beam of light undoes all the dualistic combats, the internal combats that this child was subjected to, and the reason why he created this realm in the first place. So, whereas in the case of those built for the path of Baphomet, they can't use light. They will have to project their own consciousness all the way into the worlds of their making and make it out alive while having the obligation to solve all the equations. What is the ultimate equation? So what does Baphomet represent? Juvenile, retrograde, indiscriminate, undiscerning, out of control, imagination, and lust for psychic gratification times a million. The need to supersede all limitations for rules and ratios. That's why anybody talking about non-duality and saying we're all one and not respecting gender and saying we don't need the opposite sex and we don't need money, and in general, those who do not respect their limitations of the human body, the human mind, the human psyche, are trying to ruin you. All limitations and boundaries, whether physical, mental, psychic, should be respected and honored. The tales of Baphomet's androgyny are completely false. He is both the subject and the object in his realm. There's a famous movie that dealt with this thoroughly. It was called Inception. Inception was a movie about an initiate traveling into the depths of the energetic current we today call Baphomet. In Inception, Mal did not exist. She was a projection of Cobb's mind. She never existed. Another example is in the movie Daddy's Home. Will Ferrell never existed either. He was the woman's interpretation of what a real man should be. In Jungian terms, or in Jungian psychology, he was her animus, and Mal was Cobb's anima. Baphomet is not a finished product. That is why Cobb needs a real woman to get out of his own mental mess. He wanted to create a reality in which he wouldn't have to, he wanted to create a reality he couldn't have experienced in the real world because he didn't want any limits. When the individual finally recognizes his folly, he stops being possessed by the insatiable desires. He can start to free himself or herself from the grips of that self-made prison. Look at how long it took Cobb. He had to build and build and build and build worlds until he had enough and wanted to go back home. But then by then it was too late. He was stuck. Now, let's look at the symbol of Baphomet. Think logically. If a baby comes from the womb of the mother and he dwells in water, why would the Bible start with the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters? Water will always precede the air element. At first glance, Baphomet sitting on top of the earth can be taken to mean the goat who goes to the top of the mountain. That is accurate on one level, but when you further ponder the matter, it makes no sense. He is sitting on top of the earth because he represents the defiant demiurge who looked around and proclaimed that there is no God but me. But if you look closely at his claim, you can easily take it apart. Look around at the sun, the mountains, the stars, the sky, the water. What do you see? You see things all around you that have been labeled with, it is what it is. What is, it is what it is. It means you have never cried because you couldn't drink the entirety of the water contained in the ocean, nor have you been sad because you couldn't count the grains of sand on the beach. The majority of the facts of life around us, we accept because we are powerless in front of them. Yet even though 90% of everything around us is stamped with it is what it is, the little 10% that we do control through thought and perception gives us the arrogance of the demiurge. And him sitting on the earth symbolizes projecting your own limited thought desires and understanding on a system that precedes you. Also, notice the two snakes in the Baphomet are located in his stomach. Why do you think? Because those snakes or serpents represent unconscious, quasi-uncontrollable energies related to primal needs that we are all born with. Hunger, thirst, sexual drive. They are beyond conscious willpower. And the flame protruding through his head. I've said before and I'll say it again. Each element has a main organ through which it functions within the body. And fire does not belong in the head. Fire purifies, transforms, and regenerates. Combine fire and air in the head, you create infinity. Infinity is your enemy. But the fire in his head makes all the sense in the world when you look between his eyes and you see the pentagram. Why would Baphomet have a pentagram between his eyes? That's because this is a composite figure made out of unhuman impulses that are made to inhabit a human consciousness. They come from Pluto. So the pentagram between his eyes represents the goal. The directives this thought form is made to follow. It is making what is inhuman take the form of a humanoid to unleash it. Now, what is... Let me see... Damn. Okay, so basically, Baphomet is strictly, or this energetic current in all cultures was specifically for a class of masters within masters, not for the general public. Now, let me show you something. First of all, most secret societies are controlled by artificial intelligence. So the secret society, essentially, they have a supercomputer. So a lot of initiations, a lot of crowns are given through a supercomputer. The computer has, you input what you want in the computer. So let's say such and such person, multi-millionaire. The output the computer gives you is the life path, the things that this person has to do to become a millionaire, to reach whatever goal they have. That's what you saw in the movie Click. He went to a secret society and he was given what he wanted to be, which was an architect. But he becomes this architect, but his life keeps fast forwarding and he isn't present in the actions. Do you know why he isn't present in the actions? Because his soul, his artificial birth chart, which is his humanity, his morality, his integrity, cannot participate in the inhuman, animalistic, perverted actions that he is being possessed with to do. So that's why Adam Sandler in the movie Click loses consciousness, because whatever is human, the integrity of what he is, the form that he has as a man, cannot take the horrendous shit that he has to go through to get what he wants. And these are all secret societies are all computer based, artificial intelligence based. Now, back to the Baphomet. At the highest levels of sexual practices, you're not supposed to interface with pleasure. You're not supposed to raise fire in your head. Remember what did I just say? Look what I said about the fire in his head. Fire does not belong in the head. Fire purifies, transforms, and regenerates. Combine fire and air in the head, you create infinity. You don't want infinity in your head. So raising Kundalini in your head is nonsense. What you're supposed to understand is that the etheric realm is based on geometry. The astral realm is based on the actuality of what is. So, when you raise fire to the head, you get trapped in the etheric realms of forever, of pleasure, of infinity. Whereas what you're supposed to do at the highest levels, when you've mastered sexuality on the lowest levels, you're not even supposed to connect with the pleasure. So you'd be having the ritual, you're having sex, or you're doing a ritual with your girl for an hour. You're going in, you're going out, you're going in. You're not even trying to have pleasure. You're going through the motions. Why? Because you want to keep the energy below. And what that does is that the energy eventually is distributed throughout your entire system in a fair way. And what it does, it liberates your mind from the geometrical patterns of the etheric realm. Desire is nothing but geometrical patterns. So let's say you have a bunch of ancestral forces. They loved food, they loved sex, they loved this. These ancestral forms, you could wield them as a magician, but they need a pathway to be wielded. So you use the geometrical forms, which become a prison. So if you understand sexual energy and sexual alchemy to the highest degree, you're like, you know what? Eventually you gotta get over pleasure. You gotta have sex just to recharge, but you're recharging, and what you're doing when you're recharging, it's almost like you're fasting. When you're fasting, and by the way, fasting is not to make you become more spiritual. No, you're fasting to get away from all the possessions in your own blood. Now, engaging in sexual activities simply to recharge is like fasting. So the sexual energy will go where your subtle bodies need the most healing, but you're not stuck on, I want to have pleasure. In the beginning, it's fine. You're gonna do your rituals. You're gonna have pleasure. You're gonna reach ecstatic states of bliss, ecstatic states of consciousness. But eventually, pleasure gets old. But those entities or those impulses that live in Pluto, all they know is pleasure. They have no shame. They have no morals. They have no integrity. They have no form. They will do whatever it takes. Because remember, I said your ancestors watch you like television. Therefore, your past is their future. They want you to look at the past. They want you to be open, to be possessed by things in your blood. What do I mean by your past? You don't know why you love to smoke. You don't know why you love alcohol. But it's just, it was inherited genetically. That's because you are being you are being watched like television, and you are being possessed like television so that they could fulfill what they want through your body. So, if you have the ability, if you have the know-how, go in the realms, go in the astral realms, go verify the information that I'm telling you. Don't believe me. Go look. Baphomet, or the energetic form we use for this current called Baphomet, is over. It's done. I'm not saying it's destroyed completely. I'm saying that this energy that I just described will no longer be funneled through the Baphomet. There is a new deity that they have placed, and that will replace Baphomet. But like I said, for the pure souls, your goal is to grow. And I'm not really fond about working, so-called light working, but if you can work with dark light. What is dark light? The more honor, good, right, and the more honor, good, and right you do in situations where you stand to gain nothing, the more you will increase your ability to see in the darkness of desire. That's what dark light is. Your ability to see through the darkness of desire and possession. So the more, even if nobody sees the good that you're doing, even if you're in the astral realm, nobody will ever know what you did. If you do something knowingly and you know it's wrong, you are increasing your ignorance. To see in the dark, to augment your ability to see in the dark, you must do good even when pleasure is on the line. You must do good even when potential power is on the line. You must do good even when money is on the line. You have to do good at all times within yourself, whether you're seen or whether you're not seen. That's how you increase your ability to see in the dark light. It is crucial. So don't get lost in the hype of experiences. Don't get lost in the hype of chaos magic, because all the power that you will gain from the so-called practices of chaos magic, you will lose bits and pieces of your soul and your integrity in the long run. And this symbol, fire, ether, earth. This symbol means when you go in those secret societies, what they're doing is that the ether represents everything that is buried in the astral cemeteries. You're using your earthly fire to bring them in your earthly body, to bring those etheric forms in your earthly body. I'm not saying this is what's it called? Evil. No, I'm saying that if you haven't earned the ability to practice this mudra